Okay, this is going to be a rant about the Google Pixel 3, specifically the Android operating system and how it pertains to the video camera app. So the deal is kind of a review of the Google Pixel 3 camera app, video and photography. Photography, it's untouchable. It's the best camera app in a cell phone. For video, it's arguably the best video app in a cell phone as well for Android, because of the fact that, well, there's basically two main operating systems in cell phones. There's Apple and there's Android. Apple is undeniably really the best overall because everything's perfectly integrated. Apple controls everything, and as a result, everything works seamlessly. You have very few issues with corrupt files, and it's just very predictable. It's very reliable. It just works. The camera app is just good, you know? The video app, the same. I have issues with the iPhone video and camera app, but reliability and workability, predictability, it's all great. The Android works all right on the Google because Google writes the Android software. So obviously, if you were going to select a cell phone that was Android to shoot video and stills, it's got to be the Google Pixel, just because they write the software and they have the most reliable camera app, video app there is. The photography module is obviously the best, and the video isn't the best in a sort of ergonomic sense. Not enough manual control, not enough control over the white balance. It needs to, instead of having lockable steps, there has to be a seamless grade, you know, so that you could just set it exactly, because it has a bit of a green cast in the 1080 and 720 variations, and the 720 by 480. 4K is good though. 4K has really good auto white balance. Don't know why, it just does. 4K is a bitch though to handle those huge files. It's unnecessary to have a file that big. So that's the problem. When I'm shooting the front camera like this, I use 720 by 480 simply because it has the least NR, the least amount of noise reduction, luminous noise reduction. The color noise reduction is good in all of the codecs or all the resolutions, but 720 by 480 has the best, has the least amount of NR. In 1080 and 720 in the front camera, 1080 and 720 in the back camera, the NR is just ridiculous. In low light, mainly. In good light, you're fine. So, anyways, stabilization, static shots, Google Pixel 3, can't beat it. Better than Apple, by far. Static shot should be your main shot because moving shots are just problematic in many, many ways. So for static shots, can't beat the Google Pixel 3. Panning, okay. But walking's problematic for all cameras, dedicated or cell phone. The front camera, this one, has worse stabilization than the back camera, obviously. That's another beef I have. Why can't cell phone manufacturers make the same sensor as the front as the back? Two sensors, that's it. Both of the same quality, front and back. Forget about the telephoto sensor and the extra wide camera module for the front-facing selfie cam. Forget that. just give me a really good back camera sensor, wide, about 28 millimeters full frame, then give me the same on the front, so I have the same quality, so I can like get predictable quality. And I want to be able to like bounce back and forth, front to back, front to back, just by pressing a button and just bounce back and forth for vlogging. That also would be nice. And you see how this white balance is just jumping all over the place? It's crazy. Oh well. Anyways, see, gonna go here, touch my hat, pull it down, and you see the exposure comp isn't so good in either the iPhones or the Google Pixel 3 Androids. It's just weird. Dedicated cameras have a more normal adjustable exposure comp. I've never seen a cell phone that had a decent exposure comp, adjustable exposure comp. It always is, it's weird. But again, they don't make these devices to shoot video and stills. These devices are made to make money. They're primarily phones, and they're primarily here to harvest your data. They're not here to like take video and stills. That's just like a perk, an add-on. That's why my problem is the form factor on the cell phone is awesome. Just a great form factor for shooting video and stills. It's got a nice big 5-6 inch screen, kind of like roughly the shape of a deck of cards. Small, light, easy to carry, but no cell phone manufacturer really takes it seriously as a photographic device. Now we're in the 4K mode on the Google Pixel 3, and I will continue ranting as I walk past this crow sitting on a bench. So the stabilization isn't bad for these kind of like panning, walking, I don't know what you want to call them shots. One-handed. But I don't really think that there's gonna be a lot of continued R&D sunk into cell phones for the camera app, because I think they've got it to a point where the camera app works okay. For most consumers, the video and stills are acceptable. And so I think they're going to call it a day. Dedicated cameras, I don't know. They suck because they have such small 3-inch screens. You know, you can't really do much with a 3-inch screen on a dedicated camera. And who wants to like buy one of those giant monitors and attach that? Like, it's just stupid. It sucks. I hate it. But to be fair, you know, even though this is a flawed device, it's good enough to tell a story. To tell a story with a good character. Good character is good story. This device will work. It's just, it wouldn't take much to make it better, you know? It wouldn't take much to, just a little bit of software tweaking here and there. I just don't think it's going to happen. That's better, slightly. It's not a bad sort of like shot, but anyways, bottom line is, for a minimalist filmmaker, you cannot go wrong with the smartphone. Even the Google Pixel 3 or like the iPhone XS, XR, you know, they're not perfect, but they do the job. You really don't need a dedicated camera. Dedicated cameras just give you more control or more things to adjust. It's not so bad having more control. It's just, if you have too much control, you have too much shit to adjust. And when you have too much shit to adjust, you spend all your time adjusting shit instead of like shooting, finding a story, finding a character. It's a real thing. It's like, here's what I've learned from shooting cell phones, smartphones, mobile devices. I'm not a very good filmmaker. You know? I know now from shooting dedicated cameras and cell phones that the gear isn't going to help me. My skill at finding a story and recording it is quite limited. You know what I'm saying? That's a cool shot. It is. It's just like I have severe limitations as an artist. And smartphones, being so simple, they kind of exposed me for what I am. A hack. But, you know, there's still good therapy. You can still... I like YouTube because I can tell stories. And just talking about, documenting my life and my journey is therapeutic, right? It helps me realize that I suck. And through that realization, there's the potential to suck slightly less by, I don't know, being more humble, more thankful for what you have. So, you know, I started making movies back in the days in the 80s. Those are the dark ages. Those were horrible times. Like doing anything back then was a epic struggle. We got it so good now. I really don't have anything to complain about, really. I mean, I could. I'd like to. I am. But seriously, I don't really have anything to complain about. You see what I like about the Google? You get a little bit of bokeh. See that? You get some bokeh. Generally speaking, you can't do that with an iPhone. Okay, this is a day later. Still talking about the Google Pixel 3 primarily, but apparently the conversation kind of wavered into cell phones in general. Country. Anyways, after looking at the footage from yesterday, it just confirms my theory that you shouldn't walk and shoot. Walk and vlog, walk and shoot. Because it's so hard to control the situation when you move. But it adds so many dynamic elements to the movie if you can easily and effectively move while shooting video. I mean, gimbals are great at it, but they're just so big and a pain in the ass. Because you need that, it's just a huge thing that you gotta carry. It requires a battery, and a whole bunch of extra weight and bulk that you have to carry around, which sucks. So I would hope that Google would maybe improve the stabilization on the front-facing selfie cam so that we could vlog easier without having to resort to a gimbal. I have a feeling that probably won't happen because I don't... Why did it do that? Don't ask. See, this is the problem with these smartphones. They're meant to be shot full auto. So anyways, part of the reason why I wanted to rant a little bit more today is that I forgot to mention third-party apps. So the deal with third-party apps is that they can give you more control than the stock app. But the problem is there are no third-party apps that work well on the Google Pixel 3, on any Android phone or any Apple phone. Now, that's kind of a harsh thing to say, but okay, I'm a really picky filmmaker with a very specific set of requirements. And you know, all filmmakers, all artists are like that. We're like picky and difficult to work with on a good day. So anyways, I've tried almost all the Apple third-party video recorder apps. They all suck. Even Filmmaking Pro, which is the world famous one. It's just, Filmmaking Pro is meant to be, put your cell phone on a tripod, put a cage on it, attach a bunch of crap to it. That's not filmmaking with a smartphone to me. It's just it's like you're trying to make a smartphone into a dedicated camera, which is crazy. So anyways, most or all third-party apps are glitchy as a rule. They always glitch out eventually because Apple keeps sending updates to its phone, and the third-party apps are not keeping up with them. The only Apple third-party video recorder that's just solid as a rock is 8mm vintage video app. It's so simple though, there's nothing to go wrong with it, so it works. But it's so simple, I think that's the problem, or the reason. And as for Android, there's literally nothing. I mean, there's Cinema 4K and Cinema FV5. They're both old apps, haven't been updated very regularly, and they're both glitchy, and so they suck. So you're basically stuck with the original stock apps for the Google, which is the best Android camera for film, for video, and for photography. And then there's, Apple, you've got the stock video app, and they're the only ones that you can really trust. Reliability is such a huge deal when you're shooting video. You want to know that when you're pushing record, that the video is getting recorded, that there's not a glitch at some point, which can happen quite a bit, especially with Android, where you can have corrupt files quite easily. And you're dealing with, if you're ever shooting 4K, because I got to shoot 4K on the Google Pixel 3 because the back camera has such terrible white balance on 1080 and 720 resolutions. So I have talked lots about Cinema F5V being a good Android app for the Google Pixel 3, but it worked and it stopped working for me because software is just so complicated, right? Okay, now you say, why can't Google? Well, I know why they don't want to do it, because it costs money, but man, if they had equally good stabilization on the front selfie cams, they did the back one, and so then you could vlog easier, and get a square sensor, not a rectangular one. I want to be able to hold the camera vertically, which is more comfortable, and still shoot any aspect ratio I want to. The rectangular sensor forces you to use a horizontal hold in order to get the widest portion of the sensor. But if you had a square sensor, you could hold the camera horizontal or vertical, and if you had the cropping options inside the camera, which you should have, you could crop it square, you could crop it 16:9, 2.35 to 1. Yeah, and I need some more aspect ratio crop blinds on the stock app on this Google Pixel 3. Will I get it? No. Still though, someone should bitch and complain about it. That potentially might help. Probably not.